I had always believed that my life would move slowly, but that morning I woke up with hope burning inside my chest. I was a junior employee in a powerful corporate company, and I trusted two people more than myself. Sarah, my girlfriend, and Hamza, my childhood best friend, were my world. As I buttoned my shirt, I whispered, "Today is the day," and my hands shook with nervous excitement. Sarah smiled and said, "You deserve this promotion. You worked harder than anyone." Hamza clapped my shoulder and laughed, "When you rise, do not forget us small people." I laughed back, "I could never forget you both. You are my strength." We shared breakfast, jokes, and dreams, and I walked into the office believing everything was about to change for the better. When I reached my desk, my phone buzzed. Sarah had sent a message that read, "I am proud of you." I typed back, "I am doing this for us." Hamza leaned over and said, "The meeting starts in 10 minutes. Ready to become a big man?" I nodded, trying to calm my racing heart. "I am ready," I said, though fear and hope were fighting inside me. We walked together toward the boardroom, and every step felt heavy, as if the floor already knew what I did not. Inside, the senior managers were seated, their faces serious, their eyes cold. My boss, Mr. Khalid, motioned for me to sit. "We will begin," he said, his voice sharp and distant. He looked at me and asked, "Do you know why you are here?" I replied, "For the promotion review, sir." A murmur ran through the room. He tapped a file on the table and said, "This is about stolen data, leaked contracts, and financial misconduct." My throat went dry. "Sir, I do not understand," I said. He opened the file and threw papers in front of me. "These documents prove that you copied confidential files and sold them to a rival company." I stared at the pages, shaking my head. "This is not mine. I would never do this," I whispered. He leaned forward and snapped, "Your login details are on every file. Do not insult our intelligence." I turned toward Hamza, desperate. "You know me. Tell them I could never betray the company." Hamza avoided my eyes. He cleared his throat and said, "I found these files on his system last night." I tried to warn him, but he did not listen. My chest tightened. "What are you saying?" I asked. He shrugged and said, "I am sorry. I cannot protect you anymore." I looked at Sarah, hoping she would speak. She crossed her arms and laughed softly. "I always knew he would fail," she said. The sound of her laughter cut deeper than any blade. "Sarah, please," I said. "You know this is a lie." She tilted her head and replied, "I know you were never good enough. I just stayed because I felt sorry for you." The room went silent. Mr. Khalid slammed his hand on the table. "Enough," he said. "Your contract is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you out." My ears rang. "Sir, please give me time to prove my innocence," I begged. He stood and said, "You are lucky we are not calling the police." 2 guards stepped forward. I rose slowly, my legs weak. As they led me out, I heard whispers, mocking laughter, and the scrape of chairs. I turned once more toward Sarah. "Was any of it real?" I asked. She looked at Hamza and said, "I choose someone who can win." Hamza met my gaze for a moment, then looked away. In the hallway, I broke free from the guards and shouted, "Why did you do this?" Hamza sighed and said, "You were in my way. This company needs someone strong, not someone emotional." I shook my head. "You were my brother," I said. He replied coldly, "Brothers do not stay poor forever." Sarah walked closer and said, "You dreamed too much." I want a life of comfort, not struggle. My heart pounded. We dreamed together, I said. She laughed again. Dreams do not pay bills, she answered. The guards pushed me toward the exit. I stumbled outside, blinded by the sun, my world collapsing in seconds. On the steps, I dropped my box of personal items. Papers scattered, photos slid across the stone, and my hands trembled as I tried to gather them. A passerby whispered, "That is the man who got fired for stealing." Shame burned my skin. I sat there, staring at my reflection in the glass doors, and I barely recognized myself. My phone rang. It was my mother. I could not answer. I did not know how to explain that I had lost everything. I stood, wiped my face, and started walking without direction. Each step felt like I was leaving a piece of myself behind. I kept hearing Sarah's laughter and Hamza's words echo in my head. You were in my way. I choose someone who can win. I whispered, I trusted you, to the empty street. No one answered. By evening, my savings were gone to rent and food, and I realized I had no plan, no job, and no future. I sat on a bench and stared at the dark sky. Is this the end? I asked myself. A cold wind brushed my face, and for a moment I wanted to disappear. Then I clenched my fists and said, no. This is not the end. I remembered every insult, every laugh, every lie. My chest burned, but inside that pain, something else began to grow. I whispered, I will survive. The words felt weak at first, then stronger. I will rise, even if I crawl, I said. I stood, my legs shaking, and took a deep breath. You took my job, my love, and my trust, I said into the night, but you will not take my future. The city lights flickered around me, and I promised myself that I would return one day, not as the broken man they discarded, but as someone they could never ignore again. I walked forward, carrying nothing but shattered dignity and a burning vow to rebuild my life, no matter the cost. I had nowhere to go. My apartment was gone, my savings were drained, and every mirror I passed seemed to show a stranger staring back at me. I dragged my bag down the rain-slicked streets, my shoes soaked and my hands shaking. Why did it all fall apart so fast? I whispered to myself, trying not to think about Sarah's laughter echoing in my mind. Every laugh, every smirk, every cruel word played on a loop. I sank onto a damp park bench, hiding under the thin canopy of a tree, shivering. My phone buzzed. I knew it was debt collectors again. I stared at the screen. Final notice. Pay now or face legal action. I tossed the phone onto the bench. I couldn't even face them anymore. A voice startled me. You look like hell, kid. I looked up. A man, older, greasy hands, a face creased like old leather, was leaning against a fence. Excuse me? I muttered. I said, you look like you've been through war, he said, smiling faintly. Name's Kareem. Uncle Kareem, actually. Don't ask. I stared at him. Uncle Kareem? I asked cautiously. Yeah. Don't worry, no family connections here. Just, maybe I can help. You hungry? I hesitated. I don't have money, I said. He chuckled. No worries. Come to my workshop. I got food, a roof, a bed. You can earn it, though. I didn't know why I trusted him, but something in his eyes felt real. Okay, thank you, I said, my voice shaking. My pride screamed, but hunger and cold won. The workshop smelled like oil and metal. Machines groaned, and tools clattered in the background. Sit, he said, handing me a mug of tea that smelled faintly of spices. I took it gratefully. You've had a rough day, huh? He asked, and I laughed bitterly. Rough doesn't begin to cover it, I said. I lost everything today. Job, girlfriend, trust, everything. He nodded slowly. I've seen people fall like that. Most never get up. But you, he paused, studying me. Maybe you will. I wanted to believe him. I have nowhere else, I admitted. You're welcome to stay here, he said. It's not much, but it's a start. That night, I slept on a creaky cot behind a stack of tires. The rain tapped against the roof, and I couldn't stop replaying Sarah's laughter. You were never good enough, I whispered into the dark. Tears blurred my vision. The streets, the park, the offices, I had nowhere left to hide. I hated myself for trusting everyone. Hamza. Sarah. Everyone had abandoned me. My stomach growled. Uncle Kareem handed me a plate of rice and lentils. Eat, he said. Tomorrow we work. I chewed silently. Work. I haven't worked since I trailed off. Since I had a future, he said gently. Exactly. Let's start small. Sweep, clean, learn. You'll thank me later. The next day, I met Ayan. Quiet, intense, glasses slipping down his nose, he was tinkering with a broken laptop. Hey, he said without looking up. You the new guy Uncle Kareem talked about? I nodded. Yeah. I'm here. He raised an eyebrow. Good. I like quiet people. Don't talk too much, mess up too little. I laughed. That's me in a nutshell. He glanced at me. You're learning fast, I'll give you that. You're not completely hopeless. I smiled faintly. Thanks. I think. He shook his head. Don't thank me. Just do your work. And for the first time in days, I felt like someone believed I could survive. Days turned into weeks. I woke before sunrise, helping Uncle Kareem fix cars, clean engines, sweep floors. Ayan taught me to code on the old laptop in the corner during breaks. You ever done this before? He asked one evening. Never, I admitted. Then pay attention. Mistakes cost money. I nodded. I won't fail. At night, I stayed up learning. Business techniques, investing strategies, anything to regain control of my life. I scribbled notes furiously, brows furrowed, hands cramped. I won't be weak again, I whispered as the city lights flickered outside the grimy windows. Rage and regret fueled me. Every failure I endured became motivation. One rainy evening, I stood by the workshop door, watching the storm pour over the street. Ayan walked over. You're thinking about her again, he said quietly. Sarah? I asked, surprised. Yeah. I can hear it in your voice. Don't let her own you. She's not worth it. I nodded, swallowing hard. I can't not think about her. The way she laughed. Hamza, I trailed off. He put a hand on my shoulder. You're alive, aren't you? Use that. Don't waste it on hate. Use it to build. I nodded again. His calm, steady presence was grounding me. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope, fragile and trembling, but real. Uncle Kareem clapped his hands one morning. All right, kid, today you try the engine yourself. I froze. I don't know if I can. He smiled. You can. I know you can. Fear doesn't win here. I took a deep breath and started. Tools in my hands felt heavy, but determination made them lighter. Ayan hovered behind me, offering tips quietly. Watch your angle. Don't rush it. I got it, I said, heart pounding. Sweat dripped down my face. When the engine roared to life under my hands, I laughed, a sound I hadn't made in weeks. I did it, I said, breathless. Uncle Kareem nodded. See? You're stronger than you think. By the end of the month, I was building engines, coding small programs, and understanding investments. Nights were spent reading financial guides, mornings sweeping floors, afternoons repairing cars. Pain had become fuel. Hunger had sharpened my focus. Sarah and Hamza haunted me, yes, but I was no longer broken. I will never be weak again, I muttered one night, alone in the workshop. The rain tapped softly on the roof. I imagined the life I wanted: control, respect, power. I will survive. I will rise. They won't recognize me when I return. I learned patience, endurance, and the bitter taste of survival. Uncle Kareem and Ayan became family, pillars in the rubble of my shattered world. I talked, argued, and laughed with them. Their presence reminded me that not everyone betrayed. One evening, while repairing a motorcycle, I said, "You know, I never thought I'd be grateful for a garage and a broken laptop." Ayan smirked. "Yeah, well, you survived worse, didn't you?" I nodded. I survived worse. And I will do more than survive. I will conquer. Uncle Kareem clapped my back. That's the spirit. You're not a kid anymore. Weeks turned into months. I could feel myself transforming. My mind sharpened, my body hardened, and my spirit refused to break again. Pain had been a brutal teacher, but I listened. I studied, failed, and tried again. Sarah's laughter still haunted me, but instead of paralyzing me, it ignited a fire. I whispered to the empty workshop, I will build something they can never take away. I will rise from the ruins. I will never be weak again. The city outside was indifferent, but inside me, determination roared louder than any storm. I had no home, no money, no past, but I had a purpose. And that was enough to start again. I was exhausted but restless, lying on the old cot in Uncle Kareem's workshop. Rain pounded the roof again, and I stared at the ceiling, mind racing. I can't keep doing this forever, I muttered. Ayan, sitting cross-legged on the floor with his laptop open, didn't look up. Doing what? He asked calmly. Scraping by. Fixing engines. Learning code. It's not enough. I need more. He nodded. Then do more. But don't rush it. Smart moves beat desperate ones every time. I clenched my fists. I've survived being desperate. I've survived hunger, betrayal. I can handle risk. That evening, Uncle Kareem limped into the workshop, looking older than usual. Kid, I need to talk, he said. I followed him outside. I'm sick, he admitted. It's serious. I don't have much time. The shop, the small earnings, you need a real opportunity. I shook my head. No, Uncle. I'm fine here. No, he interrupted firmly. You've got potential. Don't waste it under this roof forever. I want you to try something big. Scary, yes, but it could change your life. I stared at him, heart pounding. Big, how? He gestured to a damp streetlight. There's a tech startup. Small, failing. Nobody believes in it. You and Ayan could take it on, rebuild it. But it'll cost every cent you've saved. I froze. Every cent? That's everything. Ayan looked up from his laptop, expression unreadable. I've analyzed it. Risky, yes. But with the right plan, it could work. I ran my hands through my hair. I could lose it all again. I've done that before. Ayan leaned forward. Then do it right this time. Learn from the past. You're not the same boy who trusted Hamza and Sarah. You've grown. My stomach tightened. But what if I fail? Ayan's eyes were sharp. Then you try again. Or you stay where you are, fixing engines, watching life pass you by. Your choice. I swallowed. I hate that I'm scared. He smirked. Good. Fear keeps you alive. Don't let it paralyze you. I spent the night tossing the idea around in my head. Everything I have, gone if I fail, I whispered to the dark. Rain dripped from the roof like tiny reminders of doubt. I imagined losing it all again. But then I thought of Sarah, Hamza, the humiliation, the park bench nights, the cold. I survived that. I survived everything. I can survive this too. I paced. But this isn't survival, it's life. I can't keep existing. I need to take control. By morning, my decision felt like a weight lifted. I'll do it, I said aloud. We'll take it. Ayan, are you with me? He nodded. I'm in. But remember, every mistake could cost us everything. I gritted my teeth. Then we'll be careful. Or ruthless. We met the owner of the startup, a nervous man named Imran, in a small cafe downtown. You want to invest in my company? He asked, eyes darting around. We do more than invest, I said. We want to run it. Turn it around. Imran laughed nervously. You do realize it's failing, right? You could lose your money in weeks. I smiled faintly. We know. That's why we're doing it. The risk is part of the plan. Ayan handed over projections, spreadsheets, and plans. We've studied the market. We've fixed the flaws. We're prepared. Imran shook his head. Bold. I don't know if I can trust you. I leaned forward. You can't. But you can hope. That's enough. The first weeks were brutal. Investors laughed at our proposals. Employees doubted us. Every error felt like history repeating itself. We're doomed, one programmer whispered. I slammed the table. No. We are not doomed. We learn. We adapt. We survive. Ayan and I worked through nights, rewriting code, revising strategies, repairing trust with staff. I slept. 3 hours a night, surviving on tea and sheer willpower. This is it, I muttered one night, staring at the half-coded software. Everything depends on this. Ayan nodded. And we'll get it right. Or we die trying. I smiled grimly. Then let's live. One afternoon, an investor named Mr. Rehan, sharp-suited and intimidating, stepped into our tiny office. I've heard of you, he said, voice cutting. Your company is failing, but you've got guts. I like that. I'm giving you one chance. Impress me, or I walk. I swallowed hard. We won't disappoint you, I said, though every nerve screamed. Ayan whispered, we can do this. Stick to the plan. I took a deep breath, feeling my heart hammering. Yes, sir. We will make you proud. Mr. Rehan smirked, tapped his watch, and left. The silence after his footsteps felt heavy, but electrifying. This was our shot. Days turned into weeks. Every minor success felt monumental. We got one client, then another. Small revenue streams trickled in. "We're actually doing it," I whispered to Ayan one evening. "I can't believe it," he replied, eyes wide. "Don't," I said. "Believe. Do." I focused on every detail, learned every financial term, every coding shortcut, every management trick. I studied relentlessly at night, while the world outside slept. "I will not fail this time," I promised myself. Pain had taught me patience. Betrayal had taught me caution. Hunger had taught me focus. I would not lose again. One night, as I pored over spreadsheets, Ayan said quietly, "You're different now. I can see it. You're not the kid who lost his job and his girlfriend. You're strong." I smiled faintly, tired but proud. "I'm scared too," I admitted. "Every day. But fear isn't weakness anymore. It's fuel." He nodded. "Good. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. Memories of Sarah's laughter flashed, but I no longer crumbled. They became reminders of why I was building this, proof that I could rise, rebuild, and reclaim control. "I will never be weak again," I whispered to the empty office. "No one will ever take this from me." Finally, after months of relentless effort, a small breakthrough occurred. One of our programs was adopted by a medium-sized company. Revenue increased. Investors called with interest. Every struggle, every sleepless night, every dropped tear had been worth it. I stood in the office late one night, looking at Ayan. "We did it," I said softly. "Yes," he said, exhaustion in his voice. "And this is just the beginning." I smiled. "No, this is the turning point. From now on, we control our lives. No one can humiliate us again." The fire inside me burned brighter than any fear. "We rise," I said. "We survive. We win." I finally understood that the choice to take the risk had changed everything. If I had stayed behind, I would still be scrubbing floors and fixing engines, dreaming quietly of what might have been. Now, I was active, creating, building, commanding. "This is my life," I whispered. "Mine. Not Sarah's, not Hamza's, not anyone else's. Mine." The fear lingered, but I welcomed it as a reminder of how far I had come. I had gambled everything, and I had survived. I had won the first battle in a war I was determined to finish. By the end of that week, our small team felt unstoppable. Ayan, Uncle Kareem, and I worked seamlessly. "We're unstoppable," I muttered while reviewing our plans. "And I won't let anyone or anything stop me again." I leaned back in my chair, exhausted but alive. My reflection in the office window showed a different man than the one who had walked out of my old company, broken and humiliated. Determination, rage, focus as they were etched into my face. "This is the man I choose to be," I whispered. "And no one will take that away." For the first time in months, I slept with hope, not fear, in my chest. I woke that morning to the sound of my phone buzzing endlessly. I groaned, rolling over on the cot, my muscles sore but my heart racing. Ayan's voice came from the other side of the room. "Check it. We got a meeting request from Rehan's office." I leapt up. "Already? After one client?" He shrugged. "They noticed. Big fish smell opportunity." I swallowed hard, excitement and anxiety swirling together. This is it, I whispered, pacing. We can't screw this up. Ayan glanced at me. We've already proven we won't. Calm down. I laughed bitterly. Easy for you to say. You didn't lose everything. At the meeting, I faced Mr. Rayhan, sharp-suited and intimidating, his gaze slicing through me. I've been watching your progress, he said. Impressive for such a small operation. I bowed slightly. Thank you, sir. We're dedicated. He smirked. I hope so. There's potential here, but one misstep, I nodded. We won't make one. After he left, Ayan muttered, Your confidence is ridiculous. I grinned. And effective. My confidence wasn't fake. Every step I took now carried months of pain, struggle, and learning. I could feel power growing inside me, subtle but undeniable. Back at the workshop, I realized how far I had come. The team was growing. I hired Zara, a sharp legal advisor, who instantly saw through the messes most would ignore. You can't ignore corporate law, she said, arms crossed. It'll bury you. I nodded. Good. I want no holes in our armor. Her eyes flicked to Ayan. And this kid isn't a liability? I smiled. He's a genius. And he's patient enough to follow orders. Zara chuckled. Smart man, this one. For the first time in months, I felt a team behind me that could actually win. While the office buzzed with activity, news reached me about Hamza and Sarah. Their company, once thriving, was struggling, losing clients. My stomach twisted. Really? I whispered. They're failing? Ayan nodded. Looks like arrogance caught up with them. I clenched my fists. Good. But we don't interfere yet. Let them dig their own pit. The fire inside me shifted. Revenge wasn't immediate gratification. It was control, patience, and strategy. I wanted them to realize their mistakes on their own, painfully. Zara pulled me aside one afternoon. You've grown since the garage days, she said. I smirked. I had to. Failure teaches more than success. She nodded. Just don't let your ego blind you. You're doing well, but mistakes can come from confidence too. I studied her. Ego won't control me. Experience will. I felt a thrill of awareness. I had evolved from the desperate, broken man I had been. Now, I was calculated, determined, and fueled by more than rage, knowledge and skill guided me. One evening, as I went through spreadsheets, Ayan approached with a grin. Check this out. Client acquisition rate just doubled this week. I whistled. We're moving fast. He laughed. More than that. Our tech is getting attention. People are noticing us. I leaned back. They'll notice us even more soon. And when they do, I'll be ready. Ayan frowned. Just remember, it's not about them yet. Focus on growth. I nodded, thoughts flickering to Sarah and Hamza. I know. But I won't forget. The past always lingered, but now, it was fuel, not poison. Late nights were my sanctuary. I pored over contracts, investments, and market trends. I learned how to anticipate moves, calculate risk, and manipulate situations without ever appearing to. Zara checked in periodically, offering guidance. Your strategy is solid, she said one night. But Hamza's company? Weakness everywhere. They're overconfident. I smiled grimly. Exactly. I'll wait. Patience is a weapon. Ayan looked up from his coding. You sound like a corporate samurai. I chuckled. Maybe I am. Silent, deadly, precise. Meanwhile, Hamza kept climbing in public appearances, oblivious to the cracks. Sarah smiled beside him, still beautiful, still smug. I clenched my jaw. They're blind to what's coming, I whispered to Ayan. And that's perfect. Ayan raised an eyebrow. You're not thinking about revenge, are you? I shook my head. No. I'm thinking about justice. Karma does its job, I just need to be the master of my own life. The fire in my chest was no longer just anger. It was control, power, and anticipation. I remember the day we signed a contract with a mid-sized firm. My hands shook slightly, adrenaline racing. We did it, I said quietly to Ayan. One step closer. He grinned. You're obsessed with progress. I laughed. Better obsessed than stagnant. Every step counts now. The office buzzed around us, young employees rushing, clients calling, the energy intoxicating. I felt alive. For the first time, my life was mine. Every decision, every move, every risk, I controlled it. Sarah and Hamza were distant memories now, less of a weight and more of a lesson. Zara pulled me into the conference room another afternoon. Your investments are growing faster than expected, she said. Careful, though. Rapid growth attracts predators. I nodded. We're prepared. We've learned the hard way. She studied me. You've changed since your garage days. That boy would have been crushed by this. I let a small smile escape. I'm not that boy anymore. Pain, betrayal, hunger, it all forged this version of me. Stronger, smarter, sharper. One quiet evening, I watched the city lights from our tiny office. It's funny, I said, I went from sleeping on park benches to this. Ayan looked up. Yeah. And you're still hungry. That's good. I laughed softly. Hunger keeps me alive. And this is just the beginning. We'll grow, we'll expand, and one day, I trailed off. Ayan smirked. And one day, what? We'll control everything we've dreamed of. Nothing will touch us. Not Sarah, not Hamza, no one. My heart pounded. It wasn't revenge yet, it was preparation. Patience. Discipline. Power. By the end of the month, our team was thriving. Ayan and Zara were indispensable. Uncle Karim, always gruff, looked at me proudly. You're different now. I see it. You're no longer the kid I took in from the rain. I nodded. I survived. I learned. I will never be weak again. The fire inside me was steady now, no longer frantic, but unstoppable. Every success, every strategy, every small victory built momentum. I knew that soon, the tide would turn entirely in my favor. The broken man from the park bench was gone. Late that night, alone in my office, I whispered into the darkness, I will rise from the ashes. I will control my life. I will make them understand my worth, and they will regret underestimating me. The words burned with certainty, not desperation. This was no longer survival. This was the dawn of a new era. Sarah and Hamza had their worlds. I had mine. And mine was stronger, smarter, untouchable. I was finally rising from the ashes, and nothing could stop me. Not now. Not ever. I sat in the office, staring at the glowing screen, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. We're gaining traction faster than I imagined, I muttered. Ayan looked up, eyes narrowing. It's good, but don't celebrate yet. Visibility brings predators. I leaned back, tension coiling in my chest. I know. That's why we need to move carefully. Every contact, every deal, it has to be calculated. Ayan nodded. And Hamza's company? They're starting to notice us. My lips twisted. Good. Let them watch. Let them feel the shift. Zara entered with a stack of papers. Your investments and contracts are attracting attention. There's a risk of takeover attempts, legal challenges, she trailed off, watching me. I raised my hand. I hear you. We'll handle it. No mistakes. No shortcuts. Her eyes softened slightly. I've seen you grow, but remember, speed without control can destroy everything. I smiled faintly. Control is exactly what I have now. The chaos of my past won't touch me again. That afternoon, we met with a potential client, a mid-sized company that had ignored previous offers. Their manager, a woman named Farah, crossed her arms. I've heard about you. A small operation suddenly growing fast. Why should we trust you? I leaned forward, voice calm but firm. Because we've learned from mistakes others make. We're not just fast, we're precise, prepared, and accountable. Partner with us, and we guarantee measurable growth. Farah raised an eyebrow. Confident. I nodded. Yes. Confidence built on experience. Ayan's slight smirk confirmed my words had landed. By the end of the meeting, Farah signed a preliminary contract. Back at the office, I allowed myself a rare moment of satisfaction. One step closer, I whispered. Ayan chuckled. You say that after every contract. Obsessive much? I shrugged. Every victory matters. Each one builds momentum. We're not done yet. My gaze drifted to the window. City lights flickered, mirroring the spark of determination inside me. Sarah's laughter floated in my mind, sharp and mocking. I clenched my jaw. Not for long, I muttered. I will make them regret underestimating me. The next day, I received a tip-off from a junior employee. Hamza's company had started poaching our clients. My heart thumped. They're trying to sabotage us. Ayan frowned. We anticipated that. Time to act. I nodded. We'll tighten our network, secure contracts, and show them we're untouchable. I drafted emails, made calls, and organized meetings. Every action was deliberate, precise. We're not reacting, I said aloud. We're controlling the game. Always a step ahead. Hamza called me later, his voice dripping arrogance. I see you're moving fast. Don't get cocky, old friend. I smirked. Funny, I thought I was the one you betrayed. But go ahead. Watch. Learn. He laughed. I'll watch. But remember, power can be fleeting. I hung up slowly. Not this time, I whispered. This time, I set the rules. Ayan looked up. You're planning something? I nodded. Patience. Observation. Then leverage. The fire inside me burned steadily, no longer chaotic. It was strategy now. One evening, Zara pulled me aside. Hamza and Sarah's company is in trouble. Clients leaving, internal disputes, they're vulnerable. I tapped my fingers on the desk. Exactly as expected. We'll move when the timing is perfect. She frowned. You're calm, but careful. Good. Don't let the past cloud your judgment. I leaned back, thinking about the man I had been, the boy who trusted blindly, who had nothing. This is the new me, I said softly. Calculated. Patient. Strong. Ayan joined me later. You think they'll fall without us doing anything? I shook my head. No. We'll set traps. Contracts, partnerships, leverage. They'll fall on their own, but I'll make sure the collapse is inevitable. He nodded slowly. And Sarah? I exhaled sharply. She's a ghost of the past now. The fire she lit still fuels me, but she won't interfere. This isn't personal, it's justice. Ayan smirked. Justice, huh? Sounds like a corporate chess game. I grinned. Exactly. And I play to win. Weeks passed. Every day, we strengthened our position. I negotiated deals, closed contracts, and expanded our reach. The office hummed with energy. Junior employees looked at me with respect. Ayan worked tirelessly, offering insights and innovations. Zara kept us protected from legal threats. I had built a fortress from nothing, and every brick carried lessons from my past pain. I whispered late one night, I survived betrayal, hunger, humiliation. Now, I control my world. Then came the breakthrough. A major client, previously loyal to Hamza, approached us. We've heard your reputation. We want to partner with you, the representative said. My pulse quickened. I nodded. We'd be honored. I glanced at Ayan and Zara. This is the turning point. Timing is perfect. That evening, I allowed myself a moment to reflect. The boy who had walked out humiliated, jobless, and heartbroken, had built an empire of potential from a workshop and a laptop. I smiled faintly. We rise from nothing, I whispered. Hamza's arrogance became his weakness. Every misstep, every poor decision, every overconfidence fueled our rise. I watched from the sidelines as they floundered, powerless to stop the momentum we had built. I leaned back in my chair, eyes narrowing. The past won't repeat itself, I said softly. I'll make sure of that. Ayan looked up. You're patient. Too patient. I smirked. Patience is the deadliest weapon. Let them think they're winning while we tighten the web. Late at night, I found myself alone in the office, reviewing projections. I whispered to myself, I've built strength from weakness. Knowledge from pain. Fire from betrayal. The words felt like a mantra, solidifying determination in my chest. Sarah and Hamza were shadows in my past, but their presence lingered as fuel. Every contract, every deal, every strategic move was powered by memory of being laughed at, abandoned, humiliated. I'll never be that man again, I whispered. By the end of the month, our company had doubled in size. The office was buzzing with energy, ambition, and focus. I stood before the team one evening. We're not done. Every move counts. We're building a legacy that can't be taken. Junior employees nodded, inspired by the determination radiating from me. Ayan smiled. The kid from the garage wouldn't believe this day. I laughed softly. Neither would I. But the kid who survived does. And that's all that matters. The web was tightening. Every client secured, every deal completed, every misstep Hamza and Sarah made, strengthened our position. I watched it all unfold like a game of chess. We control the board now, I whispered to Ayan. They don't even know they're losing. He nodded. Soon, the past will meet the present. I grinned. Exactly. And I will be waiting. Alone in the office that night, I looked out over the city, neon lights reflecting determination in my eyes. I will not fail. I will not be weak. I will rise higher than ever before. The fire inside me burned steady and hot. The boy who had slept on park benches, who had been laughed at by the woman he loved and betrayed by his best friend, was gone. In his place stood a man who had survived, adapted, and now controlled everything he touched. The web was tightening, and I was at its center. Patience, strategy, and relentless determination had become my allies. The time will come, I whispered into the night. And when it does, they'll understand the price of betrayal. And I'll be ready to collect what's owed. I turned back to my desk, eyes scanning the plans, the contracts, the projections. Every detail mattered. Every step was deliberate. The game had begun, and I would win. The office was quiet except for the hum of computers and the occasional ringing phone. I sat at my desk, fingers drumming impatiently. Something feels off, I muttered. Ayan, hunched over his laptop, glanced at me. What do you mean? Everything's going according to plan. I shook my head. No. Too smooth. Hamza's company is flailing, yes, but smooth sailing makes me nervous. Trouble is coming. He frowned. You think they're planning something? I tapped the table. Not just planning, they're desperate. Desperation makes people reckless. Later that day, Zara approached, her brow furrowed. We've received a warning. Hamza is trying to use connections to undermine one of our deals. Legal threats, misinformation campaigns, my pulse quickened. They're getting desperate. Good. Desperation is predictable. She looked skeptical. Predictable doesn't mean harmless. Be careful. One misstep, I waved her off. I know the risks. But I'm not the same kid who trusted blindly. Every move I make now is calculated. That afternoon, I confronted Ayan. We need to anticipate their next move. Every client they poach, every rumor they spread, we counter first. He nodded. We can do it. But it's going to stretch us thin. I exhaled sharply. I don't care. I won't be blindsided again. Never. My voice carried a weight that made him glance at me. I see it in your eyes, he said quietly. You're not just determined. You're relentless. I smirked faintly. Good. That's exactly what I need to be. That evening, a call came through from a client who had been approached by Hamza's team. We're concerned about conflicting information, the client said. I leaned back, calm on the surface but fire burning inside. I understand. Let me clarify everything. We are the only company with the credentials and integrity to execute your plans successfully. Any other claims are false. I paused. Trust me on this. The line went quiet for a moment, then a sigh. We'll stay with you. But this escalates quickly. I hung up, muttering, exactly how I like it. Let the storm rage. I'll be ready. Ayan looked at me. You thrive on this tension, don't you? I chuckled dryly. Not thrive. Survive. Only this time, survival is paired with advantage. Zara joined us, arms crossed. You're playing with fire. One slip and everything collapses. I stared at her. I've seen the fire before. I've walked through it. I won't collapse. I'll control it. She shook her head but didn't argue. She knew I meant every word. The following week, Hamza's team escalated. A key client threatened to leave. Rumors spread about our company's stability. I paced the office, mind racing. Ayan, track every communication. Zara, get legal on standby. I want every threat neutralized before it escalates. Ayan nodded. Already on it. Zara gave a curt nod. Understood. But they're aggressive. I clenched my fists. Good. Let them reveal themselves. Their desperation will be their undoing. Late that night, I stayed behind while everyone left. I stared at the city lights through the office window. This is it, I whispered. Close to the edge, but I'm not falling. I'm learning, anticipating, controlling. Memories of Sarah laughing, Hamza smiling with pride, it all fueled me. I could feel every failure, every humiliation, every sleepless night building into focus. I've survived worse. I can survive this. And more. The next morning, a meeting with a potential investor went sideways. Questions were sharp, doubts pointed, and Hamza's misinformation was clearly working. I gritted my teeth. Stay calm, I muttered to myself. Ayan leaned over. We can counter this. I've prepared data, proofs, and strategies. I nodded. Good. Let's dismantle their attack calmly, piece by piece. During the meeting, I spoke clearly, presenting facts, numbers, and verified client testimonials. By the end, the investor looked impressed. You've handled this better than I expected, he admitted. I smiled. It's what we do. Later, Zara pulled me aside. Hamza is making risky moves. He's aggressive, overconfident. That could work for us if we time it right. I studied her carefully. Timing. Patience. Observation. Everything. She nodded. Don't get blinded by revenge. Strategic control wins here. I smirked. Revenge isn't my goal. Control is. They'll get what's coming, naturally. That afternoon, Ayan showed me a pattern. Their poaching attempts are random but predictable when you see the strategy behind it. I leaned in, eyes narrowing. Perfect. That's exactly the leverage we need. Every step they take, we counter subtly. Every client they try to steal, we secure firmly. He looked impressed. You're thinking ahead. Way ahead. I smiled. I've had practice. Months of rebuilding from nothing teach you foresight. A tense week followed. Every client approached had to be reinforced with strategy. Every rumor countered with proof. Every move Hamza made was analyzed and anticipated. I hardly slept, consumed by plans and contingencies. I can't fail now, I whispered late one night, staring at spreadsheets. I won't be weak again. Ayan, ever alert, looked over my shoulder. You're pushing yourself. I nodded. I have to. We're close to the edge, but edges reveal weaknesses. I won't show mine. Then came a call from a major client. We're impressed with your handling of recent issues, the voice said. Relief washed over me, but I stayed calm. Thank you. We're committed to delivering consistent results. The client hesitated. It's unusual for a small company to show this level of control. I smiled faintly. Experience and determination. That's all it takes. I hung up and exhaled. Ayan chuckled softly. Control is everything, isn't it? I nodded. Everything. Later, Zara brought news. Hamzat is panicking. He's pulling teams, pushing clients too aggressively. Mistakes are piling up. I leaned back, a small smile playing on my lips. Perfect. Their recklessness is our advantage. Observe, anticipate, and wait. The web tightens while they flounder. She raised an eyebrow. You're calm considering the pressure. I shrugged. Pressure reveals character. And I've built mine in fire. One evening, I confronted Ayan. Soon, we'll need a decisive move. Not just surviving, but asserting dominance. Timing will be everything. He nodded. I agree. But the timing has to be perfect. Too early, we risk exposure. Too late, they recover. I grinned faintly. Exactly. Patience. Observation. Control. That mantra had become my lifeline, my strategy, my identity. The next few days were a delicate balance. Every meeting, every call, every negotiation was calculated. I made sure to keep my team sharp, focused, and alert. I studied Holmes's moves like a hawk. Every error he made, every overconfidence, every misstep, strengthened my position. They think they're hunting, I whispered to Ayan one night. But they're trapped in our strategy. Every move they make is under our control. Finally, I allowed myself a rare moment of reflection. Alone in the office, late at night, I whispered, I survived betrayal, humiliation, and hunger. Now I navigate chaos, control risk, and anticipate every move. The edge is close, but I stand firm. I will not fall. The fire inside me burned steady, unrelenting. The boy who had been broken on park benches had been replaced by a man forged in patience, intelligence, and rage. As the city lights flickered, I felt a surge of determination. The web is tight, the trap is set, and the pieces are in place. Soon, everything will align. I smiled faintly. I've come too far to fail now. I've built strength from weakness, foresight from pain, and strategy from betrayal. Close to the edge, yes, but the edge will reveal my power, not my weakness. I turned back to my plans, spreadsheets, and projections. Every detail mattered. Every step was deliberate. The game was far from over, but I was ready. The office was buzzing, but my mind was elsewhere. I had been tracking Holmes's every move for weeks, and now it was time to act. Ayan leaned over my desk, whispering, everything's in place. Are you sure about this? I nodded slowly, fists clenched. Absolutely. Patience is over. Now, we show the consequences of arrogance. He smirked. Finally. Feels good to strike after waiting. I stared at the city outside the window. It's not personal. It's karma. But it will hit hard. Zara entered, papers in hand. Hamza's latest attempt to poach clients failed miserably. Contracts are voided. Clients are switching back. I smiled faintly. Exactly what we needed. His recklessness is our advantage. He thinks he's in control, but he's dancing in my web. She raised an eyebrow. Careful not to underestimate him. He's desperate. I laughed quietly. Desperation is predictable. And predictable is controllable. That afternoon, I called Hamza directly. I see you're struggling, I said calmly. Yes, and you? His voice was sharp, defensive. Thriving. Everything you gambled, you've lost. And you're finally seeing the consequences of your arrogance. Silence hung for a moment. "You won't get away with this," he spat. I smirked. "I've already won. You just don't realize it yet." After the call, I turned to Ayan. "Prepare the client documents. Legal notices, contracts, proofs, everything airtight. We hit them with undeniable evidence." He nodded. "Done. Should I include projections for the clients he tried to steal?" I grinned. "Exactly. Show them what they lost and who really delivers." Every action was precise. Every move was deliberate. Hamza had underestimated me. That mistake was about to cost him everything. The first wave hit that evening. I personally reached out to Hamza's largest client. "You've been misled," I said softly. "Our track record, proofs, and contracts speak for themselves. We ensure delivery. The choice is yours." I watched the hesitation in the client's voice. "We will stay with you," they admitted. Relief washed over me, but I stayed calm. "Excellent. That's the right decision." Ayan smiled behind me. Piece by piece, the web tightens. The following day, I received an email with screenshots. Hamza had tried to spread false rumors about us online. I called Zara immediately. "Draft a statement, counters, and evidence. Neutral tone. Expose the lies without looking vindictive." She nodded quickly. "It'll be clean and decisive." I leaned back, thinking of the irony. Hamza had tried to humiliate me, ruin my reputation, and now I was restoring it while dismantling his. Karma, carefully executed, was powerful. Hamza called again, voice shaking this time. "You're taking everything," he muttered. I smirked. "You created the opportunity. Your mistakes, your arrogance, your greed, they've led here. I didn't take anything. You lost it yourself." He was silent for a moment, then bitterly, "You'll pay for this." I laughed softly. "I've already survived worse than you. I'm untouchable now." Later, we met with another client Hamza had tried to recruit. "We want to switch," they admitted nervously. I leaned forward. "Smart choice. Your business deserves reliability, integrity, and results. That's what we provide." Ayan handed over the necessary contracts. "All ready. No room for error." I signed the paperwork, finalizing the client's return. "Another victory," I whispered. "And it's just the beginning." That night, I watched news articles pop up. Hamza's company was losing public credibility. Clients were leaving, projects delayed, staff morale plummeting. I couldn't help but smile. "This is what happens when arrogance meets recklessness," I murmured. Ayan glanced at me. "You're calm, but satisfaction is clear." I nodded. Patience paid off. Observing every move, waiting for mistakes, that's how we win. The following morning, Zara called me over. "Hamza's company is filing complaints, legal threats, everything they can. They're panicked." I tapped my fingers on the desk. "Let them panic. Every reaction is predictable. Every error strengthens our position. I want full documentation, airtight evidence. We'll counter everything cleanly, decisively." She nodded. "All prepared. This will be comprehensive." I sat back, remembering the day Sarah had laughed, Hamza had betrayed me, and I had lost everything. Pain had fueled my rise. Rage had sharpened my instincts. Hunger had taught me focus. Every lesson had led to this moment. "The tables have turned," I whispered. And I'm the one holding them now. Hamza called again, voice frantic. You're unstoppable. This isn't fair. I laughed softly. Life isn't fair, Hamza. You made your choices. I made mine. Now consequences arrive, naturally and in full measure. He barked a laugh. You think this is over? I'll fight back. I shook my head. You've already lost. Fighting back now is too late. You're trapped in your own mistakes. Later, I met with a potential large investor. We're impressed by your handling of competitors and reputation management, the representative said. I smiled faintly. Experience teaches lessons faster than textbooks. Every move is calculated. Trust in strategy, patience, and observation. The investor nodded. We'll partner with you. I exhaled softly. Yes. Step by step, the web is tightening. Hamza's downfall is inevitable. Back at the office, Ayan leaned against the desk. You're calm, but I can see the satisfaction. You're enjoying this. I shook my head. It's not enjoyment. It's precision. I'm seeing consequences unfold logically. This is what mastery looks like. He smiled. You've changed so much since the garage days. I nodded. I survived betrayal, humiliation, and hunger. That created this man. No weakness left. The next morning, news reached me that Hamza's top executive had resigned. Internal collapse, Zara muttered. They're falling apart from the inside. I leaned back in my chair. Exactly. No chaos needed from our side. Their mistakes are sufficient. She frowned. You're patient. Too patient for most people. But it works. I smiled faintly. Patience has been my weapon. Observation my ally. Now the pieces are falling into place, and I control the outcome. That evening, I received a direct message from Hamza. How did you do this? His words were sharp, bitter. I smirked. I survived everything you and Sarah threw at me. I learned, I waited, I planned. This isn't luck, it's inevitability. He typed, this isn't the end. I shook my head. It is for you. It's only the beginning for me. Late at night, alone in the office, I whispered to myself, I've turned betrayal into strategy, humiliation into fuel, and pain into precision. Hamza's fall isn't just victory, it's proof that I'm no longer that weak, broken man. Ayan, still working quietly beside me, glanced up. You're not just winning. You're unstoppable. I smiled faintly. Unstoppable isn't the word. Prepared is. Every move anticipated, every reaction calculated. This is mastery born from survival. The web was complete. Hamza's arrogance, combined with impatience and misjudgment, had ensured his collapse. Every client reclaimed, every rumor countered, every legal maneuver perfectly timed, had reinforced our dominance. I allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. The boy who trusted blindly is gone, I whispered. The man who controls fate has taken his place. By the end of the week, Hamza's company was a shadow of itself. Staff resignations, lost contracts, and public missteps piled up. I reviewed the reports with Ayan and Zara. This is the culmination of strategy, patience, and observation, I said quietly. Ayan nodded. And it all started with survival. I smiled faintly. Yes. Survival led to preparation, preparation led to control, and control led to victory. Hamza underestimated everything. I never will. Alone in the office that night, I gazed out at the city, neon lights reflecting the fire in my eyes. The fall of Hamza marks the rise of everything I lost before. Betrayal, humiliation, and weakness are gone. What remains is power, focus, and precision. This is my era, and no one will take it from me. Not ever. The fire inside me burned steady, unrelenting. The boy who had been humiliated and abandoned had been replaced by a man who controlled everything, and everyone who dared underestimate him. The office was quiet when I heard a familiar laugh outside the glass doors. My chest tightened. Sarah. I froze for a moment, memories of humiliation and heartbreak flooding back. Ayan noticed immediately. It's her, he whispered. I took a deep breath. Stay calm. I know what I'm doing. I stood and walked toward the door, every step deliberate, every heartbeat controlled. Sarah leaned against the hallway wall, smiling confidently. Well, look who's actually made something of himself, she said, voice dripping mockery. I didn't respond immediately. I studied her. Pride, arrogance, the same traits that had hurt me once, but now, they seemed fragile. I finally said, "It's been a long road, Sarah." She laughed. Clearly. And look at you. CEO now, huh? I nodded. Yes. And you, still the same. She smirked. Don't tell me Hamza couldn't teach you a thing or two? My eyes narrowed. Hamza taught me a lot, yes. Mainly what to avoid. Her smile faltered slightly. You're bitter. I shook my head slowly. Not bitter. Prepared. Patient. Observant. She tilted her head. And what? You're here to rub your success in my face? I let a faint smile escape. No. I'm here because it's time you understand the consequences of betrayal. Sarah scoffed. Consequences? Please. You've changed. Obsessed with revenge. I leaned closer, voice calm but sharp. Not revenge. Justice. Karma works best when you think it's random, but in reality, every move I made has been deliberate. Every failure you and Hamza caused, it all led here. Her eyes flickered with something like doubt, quickly masked. You think this intimidates me? She asked, trying to sound bold. I laughed softly. No. But it should make you think. I motioned toward my office. Come in. Let's make this official. Her brow furrowed. Official? I nodded. Yes. Paperwork. Contracts. Your last connection with us is ending today. She frowned. What are you talking about? I gestured to the stack of folders on my desk. All of your investments, partnerships, and access are revoked. I'm signing the termination papers now. Her face paled. You can't do this. I deserve at least a chance to explain. I shook my head. No explanations. You had your chance. You made your choices. I'm simply finalizing them. She stepped closer, voice trembling. This isn't fair. I helped you once. I loved you. I laughed softly, bitter but controlled. Loved me? You laughed when I lost everything. You chose him over me. That wasn't love, it was selfishness. And that choice defines you. Sarah glared. You'll regret this. You think you're untouchable now, but... Hamza, I shook my head. Hamza is gone. His arrogance, combined with your betrayal, led to his fall. He's weak. And now, you see what happens when you underestimate someone who's been broken and rebuilt. Her lips trembled, but she refused to show fear. You're cruel, she said, voice low. I stepped closer. Not cruel. Precise. Calculated. You taught me what weakness costs. I'm simply applying the lesson. Ayan stood silently behind me, observing. He knew the stakes. Sarah's influence had cost me everything once, but now it was over. I took the pen and placed it over the papers. Sign. This is the last connection you have to me, to my company, to anything we've built. She hesitated, anger and desperation flickering across her face. You can't erase me from your life. I smirked. I'm not erasing you. I'm closing the door you left open when you betrayed me. Nothing more, nothing less. Her hands shook as she reached for the pen. I spoke softly but firmly. Every choice has a consequence, Sarah. Today, you're seeing yours. This isn't anger. This isn't revenge. This is clarity. She signed, her pride warring with the reality she couldn't escape. I slid the papers into my folder, exhaling slowly. Done, I said. Your chapter here ends. She looked at me, eyes burning. You'll never forgive me. I shook my head. I forgave long ago. But I don't forget. And I don't allow betrayal back into my life. Sarah took a step back, voice trembling. I underestimated you. I thought you'd crumble. I smiled faintly. I did crumble. I fell harder than you can imagine. But I rose. I rebuilt. And this is the result. Don't mistake this for anger, it's control. I control my life. I control my destiny. And you no longer have a role in it. She swallowed, defeated. I see that now. But it doesn't feel like victory for you. You're empty inside. I shook my head slowly. I'm not empty. I'm free. Free from the chains of your betrayal, Hamza's arrogance, and my own weaknesses. Freedom feels nothing like emptiness, it feels powerful, controlled, and inevitable. Sarah's expression faltered. I thought you'd never recover. I shrugged. I did recover. And more than that, I've grown. What you see now isn't a man clinging to the past, it's a man who turned every betrayal into strength, every failure into knowledge, every heartbreak into determination. She stepped back, tears threatening. I was wrong. About everything. I nodded. You were. But understanding that doesn't change the past. Today, it simply ensures you can't harm me again. I watched as she realized her powerlessness. That laughter that once shattered me was gone. Fear and regret replaced it. I didn't gloat. I simply observed. Control was far more satisfying than revenge. Later, as she walked away, shoulders hunched and pride shattered, I whispered to myself, the past is gone. The pain is gone. Only the man I've become remains. I survived betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak. And now, nothing can stop me. Not Sarah, not Hamza, not anyone who underestimates the cost of my resolve. Ayan joined me silently. That was intense. I smiled faintly. It was necessary. Every piece of the puzzle falls into place when timing, patience, and control align. He nodded. And the fire inside you, it's steady now, not frantic. I leaned back in my chair, letting the calm sink in. Exactly. Strength is no longer frantic energy. It's steady, deliberate, and unstoppable. The ashes of the past have built the man I am today. Zara entered quietly, giving me a nod. Impressive. Precision, patience, and execution. They won't recover quickly. I exhaled slowly. They don't need to. I don't need them. I've built my world, my team, my power. Their failures only confirm what I've become. She smiled faintly. You've truly risen. I nodded. From betrayal, humiliation, and loss. I've risen. And I will never fall for the same weakness again. Alone that night, I stared out over the city, lights flickering like reminders of every step I'd taken. I've faced the ghosts of my past, I whispered, and they are powerless before me now. Sarah, Hamza, they taught me lessons I could never have learned otherwise. And for that, I am grateful. But I control the present, and I determine the future. Nothing can shake me now. I sat back, feeling a weight lift from my chest. For the first time in years, I was unshakable. Not because I had destroyed anyone, but because I had mastered myself. I had turned betrayal into power, pain into strategy, and heartbreak into determination. I was free. And the man who had once laughed, cried, and faltered in the face of humiliation was gone. Only control, focus, and relentless determination remained. And as I closed the office door behind me that night, I whispered to the shadows, I am no longer the boy you underestimated. I am the man who survived everything. The man who turned ashes into power. And from now on, I answer to no one. The city felt alive that morning, but my focus was sharper than ever. Hamza's final defenses were crumbling, and I could feel the moment of reckoning approaching. I leaned back in my chair, looking at the reports on my screen. Ayan, everything is ready for the final move? He nodded, eyes serious. Yes. Contracts, evidence, client loyalty, all solid. Timing is perfect. I smiled faintly. Good. This is the last act. Precision, patience, and control. Nothing else matters. Zara entered, holding a folder. Hamza is panicking. He's trying to salvage deals, but every step he takes backfires. I tapped my fingers on the desk. Exactly. Desperation always exposes weakness. Let him flail while we execute flawlessly. She frowned. Are you sure about this? Once it's done, there's no turning back. I shook my head. I've waited too long for hesitation. This ends today. Justice, karma, closure, all in one. I picked up the phone and called Hamza. His voice was strained. I see you're still thriving. But this time, you'll slip. I laughed softly. No slip. Every move is accounted for. Every reaction predicted. The web is complete, and you've been trapped for weeks. He scoffed. Trapped? You think this will ruin me? You've grown obsessed with revenge. I shook my head. Not revenge. Strategy. Every humiliation you caused me has taught me foresight. And foresight wins. Ayan leaned closer. They're desperate. We can't underestimate their attempts to counter. I nodded. Exactly. Let them try. Every effort to fight back only tightens the web. We act only when the moment is perfect. Zara added, all communications, contracts, and legal moves are ready. Execution is seamless. I stood, a rare fire burning in my chest. Then it's time. The boy who fell is gone. The man who controls fate steps forward. I called a meeting with our team. Today is pivotal, I began. Hamza's arrogance and Sarah's betrayal taught us lessons no textbook could. Today, every mistake they've made becomes our advantage. Every client we reclaim, every rumor we dismantle, every contract we enforce, it's precise, deliberate, and final. The team nodded, focus sharp. Ayan whispered, I've never seen you this driven. I smirked faintly. I've never been this prepared. Our first move was public. A major client who had been swayed by Hamza's promises announced their return. Press releases, social media updates, and formal contracts went out simultaneously. I watched the chaos on Hamza's end unfold through reports. Mistakes piled up. Panic was visible. Exactly as predicted, I whispered. Every action has a reaction, and his arrogance ensured the perfect collapse. Then came the private strikes. Legal notices, contract enforcement, and non-disclosure warnings reached Hamza's team. Zara coordinated everything, voice calm and steady. All letters sent. They can't claim ignorance. I leaned back, allowing satisfaction to settle. It's not satisfaction. It's inevitability. They created this trap with their own hands. I simply guided the outcome. Hamza called again, voice trembling. You've destroyed everything. This isn't fair. I smiled faintly. Fairness is irrelevant. Consequences are natural. You gambled with arrogance, betrayal, and greed. The outcome is what it is. And yes, it's final. His anger boiled. You won't get away with this. I'll fight. I shook my head slowly. You fought when you had nothing. Now, every move you make only reinforces your defeat. Meanwhile, Sarah appeared again, this time more cautious. I heard. Hamza's company is collapsing. I didn't look up. Yes. And your role in the past ensured that your former pride and influence hold no weight here. Nothing personal. Only clarity. She swallowed. You've changed. More than I imagined. I finally glanced at her, calm and resolute. I've learned. I've grown. And now, I control the present and the future. That afternoon, a final client meeting sealed the deal. Contracts signed, commitments confirmed, and loyalty secured. Ayan and Zara coordinated the process flawlessly. I watched every signature, every nod, every confirmation. This is the culmination, I whispered. The strategy, patience, and precision have paid off. The web is complete. Hamza tried one last desperate call. This isn't over. His voice was almost desperate. I tilted my head, calm and composed. It is. Every opportunity to undermine me has failed. Every client, every contract, every connection, secured. Your arrogance and poor choices have sealed your downfall. He clenched his teeth. You'll pay for this. I shook my head. No. I've already paid. I've suffered, learned, and survived. What you face now is the natural result of your actions. Nothing more. Later, I received reports of resignations from Hamza's key executives. Internal chaos, collapsing deals, and public missteps were reported. I watched the numbers and smiled faintly. The empire you built crumbles because you built it on arrogance, betrayal, and recklessness. You were warned. And now, you fall. That evening, I walked through my office, alone, reflecting on the journey. I've survived hunger, betrayal, humiliation, and heartbreak, I whispered. Every failure became strategy. Every tear became determination. Every betrayal became fuel. And now, justice is executed, not through anger, but precision. Control is sweeter than revenge. Ayan joined me quietly. It's over, he said softly. I nodded. Over for them. But for us, it's the beginning of everything. The lessons of the past built this strength, this clarity, this mastery. He smiled. The boy who walked out humiliated, he's truly gone. I smirked faintly. Yes. Only the man forged from fire remains. Stronger, sharper, unstoppable. Zara entered, looking at the data on my desk. Hamza's company is in shambles. Clients lost, staff resignations, public perception destroyed. It's complete. I nodded slowly. Complete, precise, inevitable. Every step calculated, every reaction anticipated. They underestimated me when I had nothing. That mistake will define their downfall forever. Later, as I watched the city from my office window, the neon lights reflecting determination in my eyes, I whispered, I've turned betrayal into power, humiliation into strategy, and pain into mastery. Every moment of suffering, every sleepless night, every failure, it all led here. Hamza falls, Sarah falters, and I rise unshaken. I leaned back in my chair. The boy who trusted blindly, laughed at, abandoned, and humiliated is gone. The man who controls fate, executes strategy, and commands respect stands in his place. Survival has become mastery, and mastery is unstoppable. That night, alone in the office, I reviewed the final reports one last time. Every client secured, every contract enforced, every rumor dismantled. The web is complete. Hamza's empire is gone. Every lesson learned from betrayal has been applied perfectly. Nothing is left to chance. Control is absolute. Ayan looked up quietly. You've done it. Everything is settled. I nodded, calm and steady. Yes. Settled not through anger, but through foresight, patience, and relentless focus. They thought they could break me, humiliate me, destroy me. But I used it all to build strength. And now, I am untouchable. Zara placed a hand on my shoulder. The final move, executed flawlessly. I exhaled slowly. Flawlessly indeed. Not revenge. Not anger. Precision. Strategy. Control. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. She nodded. And you've mastered it completely. I sat alone, letting the quiet sink in. The past has no power here. Betrayal has no hold. Humiliation has no mark. Pain is fuel, lessons are strategy, and control is victory. Hamza falls, Sarah fades, and I remain. Stronger, wiser, unstoppable. And as the city lights flickered outside, I whispered to the night, I am no longer the boy they underestimated. I am the man who survived everything, mastered everything, and now controls everything. Ultimate revenge is not rage, it's inevitable justice. And I've delivered it flawlessly. The office was quiet, the city lights casting long shadows across the desk. I leaned back, letting the calm settle over me. Months of strategy, planning, and precision had led to this moment. Ayan approached quietly, eyes scanning the final reports. It's all done, he said softly. I nodded. Yes. Every contract secured, every client reclaimed, every betrayal addressed. And now, I am free. Zara appeared with a faint smile. You've truly mastered everything. Not just business, but yourself. I looked at her, calm and steady. I had to. Weakness was my downfall once. Humiliation, betrayal, heartbreak, they all taught me lessons no school ever could. I've learned, adapted, and survived. Now, I control the present and my future. Ayan leaned on my desk, smirking. It's strange seeing you so calm after everything. You were fire, rage, and obsession for so long. Now, you're unshakable. I smiled faintly. I've replaced fire with focus, rage with precision, and obsession with control. That's what survival creates when it's paired with patience. I walked to the window, looking out at the city skyline. Memories of Sarah's laughter, Hamza's smug smile, and every moment I'd fallen flashed through my mind. I was broken, I whispered, almost to myself. I had nothing. No money, no home, no trust, no dignity. But I survived. I rebuilt. And from the ashes, I became something stronger, sharper, unstoppable. Zara leaned against the wall. And Sarah? Hamza? Are you at peace with it? I shook my head slowly. Not peace. Clarity. I don't wish them harm, and I don't fear them. Their actions taught me what strength and focus truly are. Their downfall was inevitable because I refused to remain weak. That's the difference. Ayan glanced at me. You've changed, completely. I barely recognized the person you were when you came here. I chuckled softly. That boy is gone. Humiliated, hungry, broken. Every lesson, every tear, every sleepless night shaped the man in this chair. Weakness doesn't survive here. Only mastery. Later that afternoon, I walked through the office, observing my team. Everyone was focused, efficient, loyal, not because of fear, but because they respected the order and precision I demanded. Control isn't tyranny, I said softly to myself. Control is clarity. Control is structure. Control is freedom. Ayan joined me quietly. You've built more than a company. You've built stability, strategy, and respect. People follow you because they trust your judgment, not because they fear you. I nodded slowly. Exactly. Leadership is not about ego. It's about foresight, preparation, and reliability. Everything else is a distraction. The phone rang. A client confirming a major deal. Yes, everything is secure, I said calmly. Hanging up, I exhaled. Another success, I muttered. But more importantly, proof that calculated strategy beats chaos, patience beats impulsiveness, and strength comes from overcoming every weakness you once had. Zara approached again. Do you ever think about the past? Sarah, Hamza, the days you were lost? I nodded faintly. Of course. How could I forget? Those days were my teachers. Every betrayal was a lesson. Every humiliation was fuel. Every loss sharpened me. And now, those memories exist only to remind me of how far I've come. I sat at my desk, picking up a pen, staring at the contracts and reports before me. I've walked through fire, I whispered. I've been crushed, laughed at, abandoned. And every time, I rose stronger. Today, I don't seek revenge. I don't seek validation. I simply exist in control. Mastery over circumstance, over others, over myself. Ayan looked at me, eyes soft. It's inspiring. Most people never rise after that much betrayal. You did more than survive. You transformed. I smiled faintly. Survival is only the beginning. Transformation is the goal. And transformation requires pain, patience, and precision. I've had all three in abundance. That evening, I took a quiet walk across the city. The neon lights reflected determination, not chaos. I thought of the boy I had been, the one betrayed, abandoned, humiliated. He doesn't exist anymore, I whispered. I carry his lessons, not his weakness. Every scar, every tear, every sleepless night has been repurposed into focus, control, and strength. I stopped at the edge of a quiet park, the night air cool against my skin. I've faced everyone who underestimated me, I muttered. Sarah, Hamza, society, and even myself. And now, nothing, and no one, can shake the man I've become. Strength isn't loud. Strength is patient, calculated, and unshakable. Later, back in the office, Zara and Ayaan were reviewing final client reports. Everything is perfect, Zara said quietly. I nodded. Perfection isn't accidental. It's crafted with patience, foresight, and relentless attention. Every move Hamza made, every betrayal Sarah caused, they all contributed to my preparation. That's why control matters. I sat back in my chair, hands folded. I've learned that life doesn't hand second chances. It doesn't reward weakness. It punishes mistakes. But it also allows for mastery. And mastery is built from surviving, learning, and transforming. Ayaan glanced at me. So, what now? After everything? I exhaled slowly, a faint smile crossing my face. Now, I live. Not cautiously, not blindly. I live with strategy, awareness, and strength. Every relationship, every business decision, every step forward is deliberate. I am the man I was meant to become. And nothing can take that away. That night, alone in my office, I reflected on the journey. From park benches to boardrooms, from humiliation to power, from betrayal to mastery. I've walked it all. The boy who cried, the man who raged, the survivor who planned, all of them exist within me. But the one who controls destiny? That man is free. I picked up the final file, the last link to my past, my failures, my pain. I don't burn bridges. I don't need vengeance. I need clarity, control, and growth. That's all that matters now. I placed it down, closing the chapter entirely. The city outside seemed alive with opportunity, not threat. I've faced betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak, and near ruin. And from it, I've created mastery, control, and freedom. I am no longer the boy who lost everything. I am the man who commands everything. And I will never be weak again. Alone, at peace, and resolute, I whispered to the night, I am the man I became. Not defined by pain, betrayal, or loss, but by strength, clarity, and mastery. The past is a teacher, the present is my control, and the future belongs to me.